What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I'm going to break down what's going on with NIO stock, what you should be watching for moving forward. I'm also going to talk about Tesla, SPY, and the QQQ, and a couple of tickers out there. And also talk about why tomorrow is going to be an absolutely massive day for NIO, as NIO has its earnings, and it's going to be very telling for the share price and the future of this company. But before I do anything like this, though, before I talk about what's going on with NIO and the whole market, let me just mention a couple of things real quick. I'm firstly not a financial planner, so take none of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks, plus a $50 cash reward, and the offer ends in just 3 days, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, when it comes to the market, let's break down something very important that's going on. Looking at NIO on the 4-hour time frame, we have a nice bullish divergence that has developed. And as this developed, the MACDs also turned quite bullish, looking at this bullish cross on the PPO. And seeing this bullish momentum that is building on it suggests to us that NIO should have gone this bounce. And we got a small bounce today, but there's a possibility it's going to continue pushing going into tomorrow. We might see some upside because of NIO's earnings. I'm going to break down all of this in just a few minutes, but let's first talk about the market and just some other pieces of data before I talk about the share price of NIO and all these different charts. I just want to mention that tomorrow, okay, for the whole market, we have the house price index coming out month over month and year over year. We have the JOLTS job openings coming out 30 minutes after the market opens. We also have the Dallas Fed Services Index report coming out, so more information about services in the economy. So for the first 30 minutes and the first hour, expect some high volatility in the markets, especially because of the job openings data coming out. And then with that said, now let's talk about NIO. So NIO has earnings tomorrow before the market opens here in the USA. For China, it's going to be a little bit earlier for them. This is going to be very, very telling and very, very interesting. NIO is going to be making some very big announcements. But remember, this earnings call, the report is not just going to be about the current earnings. Guidance is going to be key for the company, and what William Lee Bin, the CEO, says is going to be very huge. So remember, William Lee Bin, the CEO of NIO, has a tendency of hyping up investors. Okay, remember that historically, that's what he tends to say. He tends to announce big things about NIO's future, strong deliveries, and we're going to find out all this information. NIO is going to tell us about what we should be expecting for their future deliveries, what we should be expecting for their margins as time goes on. And their margins are going to be very, very important, as we saw it decline by over like 5.1% not too long ago. And we're continuing to see some declining margins because of what's been happening. NIO even cut some prices, which was a little bit concerning to investors in the past. However, here's the very important thing. Despite their growth, you could argue that they're very far from their 250,000 delivery target for 2023. But to me, it's not the biggest of deals because I'm more focused on the growth we're seeing in the present and less about them meeting every single expectation like that. Because as long as they keep meeting expectations and growing, especially amidst the hardships going on in China, I still believe there's a lot of potential for this company. We're going to learn more about their revenue, what's going on with their EPS expectations, what's happening with their growth as time goes on, and what they're projecting for the future. Are they going to be telling us there's going to be a strong Q4? Is next year going to be even stronger? And if they say some very, very big number again, okay, this could distract investors. If William Lee Bin says expect 300,000 deliveries for 2024, for example, guys, just hypothetically, if he says that, if something like that were to be announced, this could cause the share price to go up. So you have to be ready for some announcements like that. That is going to be very, very big for the company. We're also going to learn more about what's happening with their total losses. Are they going to be increasing? And more important things about their balance sheets. Besides that, most of it's going to be about their margins. Once again, during the quarter, their margins declined 5.1%. I do believe that their margins may decline a little bit more again, but I'm not too worried about that. EP and revenue are going to be key, and we'll be seeing if they meet on every single one of the expectations. So we'll wait and see what happens tomorrow. It's going to be very telling. I'm very excited for what's about to come. And as far as NIO goes, the volume was still kind of weak, so we're not seeing aggressive buyers, only 41 million in volume. The short volume is kind of like flat right now at about like 43.8%. And looking at some data, Deutsche Bank is giving NIO a buy rating, saying that you should buy into NIO despite what anyone else is trying to say. They're getting some good ratings. The price-price ratio is flattening, showing signs that NIO is basing and starting to perform more similar to the markets. And then none of this data matters too much for tomorrow specifically, because what matters more is going to be what happens during their actual earnings. We saw a lot of these short positions being closed And right now, there's not as much heavy shorting on NIO because I don't think they want to short too hard right before its earnings. So with that said, how on earth are the charts looking? To be honest, guys, it looks to me, I mean, I can't really predict earnings, to be honest with you all. I'm going to be an open minded person. I want to be as unbiased as possible when I say this, okay? So I can't predict exactly how earnings are going to go. But as far as the technicals go, they look bullish. This is looking more bullish looking at the MACD and the RSI. This is looking more bullish looking at this bullish divergence and looking at the EMAs, which are crossing. We're starting to see this chart curling, and there's a sign of a change in market structure because it's basically it has a tendency of touching that 10.5 zone over and over again. We got like 4 to 5 touches, and it just keeps trying to bounce off of that. So it's trying to base right here. If earnings cause a drop, I mean, it is technically possible for this thing to sink into like the $10 area flat, but I'm not leaning more in that direction. It looks more like this chart wants to push back to 11.3 plus, eventually get closer to about $12. And I think the odds greatly favor that looking at the bullish divergence. So I am leaning more bullish for tomorrow. Maybe some nice announcements are going to be said about the future. Maybe William Lee Bin knows that he wants to hype up investors. There's a chance NIO may see an explosive move tomorrow, but it all depends on earnings. I don't want to make any promises. So you want to be as safe as possible. On SPY, I just want to mention that we have this head and shoulders like pattern, but SPY is currently testing the 4 hour time frames, 200 EMA. So we're going to be watching, can we break above this or not? Apple looks a little bit more bullish. It looks like it may push SPY higher. If SPY breaks 444, it could start pushing to 446 again and potentially even break out even higher than that before coming back down, in my opinion. But the odds do favor, okay, this trying to hold up because right now it's showing some signs of strength, making higher highs and higher lows. It's looking a little bit better in my opinion. And we're going to be watching to see if this right shoulder plays out, if it rejects, or if it ends up continuing to hold. It looks like the odds favor trying to break out, but just to be safe, we have to watch some other things. Apple closed above 180, which is a good sign. And the daily candlestick is looking bullish. Look at the daily. Look at this. This is testing this area right here, this resistance around this 20 EMA. If it keeps going, if you look at the MACD, we got a bullish cross on the daily MACD as well. And the last time this happened, last time we got this bullish cross, we saw this thing starting to push up. So it doesn't guarantee anything, of course. I mean, just because we got the bullish cross doesn't mean it's going to just keep going and going. But this looks bullish. Apple's looking a little bit more bullish. It may try to push the market up a little bit. We have this unfilled gap on the daily around this 190 area. Not saying it's going to fill that, but if we try to get close to like gap resistance around 185, this could cause the market to push up just a little bit temporarily, right? Just temporarily, it is a possibility. We're already at 180, so we're getting closer to that gap resistance. If it continues to hold 180, it's going to start pushing, and this could push SPY and the QQQ up a little bit. Excuse me. Looking at the QQQ on the 30 minutes time frame, I just want to mention that we have a head and shoulders like pattern, but the market was trying to hold up and showing some strength today. So there's a good chance it's going to try to maintain these levels. If it rejects and breaks below 364, it's going to start sinking much lower, and this head and shoulders will be valid. If it keeps breaking out, if it gets above 368, we're going to be watching it push to 370, then 372. How is this looking? It looks a little bit more bullish as this thing was making some good crossovers. On the 30 minutes time frame, we closed with a bullish cross on the PPO, and we got a decent close overall. So it is looking a little bit more bullish thanks to Apple, but just to be safe, we have to watch and see if it could hold above 368 because there is still a possible head and shoulders, and you have to be very careful in looking at charts like these. Finally, for NIO, if the market tries to pump tomorrow, this can help NIO hold up a little bit better. It depends on Apple and other factors. But the biggest factor affecting NIO is going to be their earnings. So I'm going to be watching and listening to what happens to their EPS, their revenue, any future deliveries, any good guidance, and that's going to shoot NIO to the upside. I'm open-minded. I don't know what's going to happen because earnings can be unpredictable. So I'm not predicting anything with high certainty. But what I will tell you is that the chart looks more bullish from a technical standpoint. It looks more bullish to me. We got this really nice base that formed. You guys could see it kept touching the 10.5 area, and it keeps trying to bounce off of that. It looks to me like the odds favor NIO trying to push and get closer to $12 from a technical standpoint. But just to be safe, technicals are not sufficient. They're not everything during an earnings event. I'm just saying that I'm leaning a little bit more bullish, approaching its earnings for now. All right, so hopefully this was helpful. Get ready for tomorrow. It's going to be a big day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. NIO to the moon because the long term is very bright, and peace out.